I do have something.
Everyone's looking
Making me nervous.
Everyone's looking.
Well, it is 7 o'clock, so we probably can get rolling. I'm passing around the PA 116 if you want to look at the, what you call it, application. I think that's what they call them, right? And I'm looking for my agenda. So we'll call this meeting to order. If we could all bow our heads, and we'll start with a prayer. Lord, be with us this evening as we come together. Let us be tolerant. Let us be vigilant. Let us come to you and do good things in the name of the Conservation District and for the people of Ottawa County who entrusted us with this task. Let us be with us as we travel home this evening, and for all those who are out and about traveling, be with us and keep us mindful of the good deeds that we do in your name. We've all had a chance to read the minutes. Is there a motion to accept them as printed?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
And all those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They are approved. Public comment. Don't see a whole lot of public. So we'll continue moving along. What do we got for staff reports? On the other, is there any questions on the other reports that were in our packet?
What do you mean by the other report?
Well, all these were in our packets, and then we always highlight one. And we're going to have the raindrop rescue from Lexi this month. But is there any questions on the other ones that were printed?
This is just some general stuff on the reports. Are our expectations too low? And what I mean by that, there's a lot of time spent in meetings and all that good stuff, and that's all necessary. And I don't want to be negative. But I've been watching over the years, it doesn't seem to like our outreach is growing. That's my question. Is our expectations too low for these employees? How to answer that, so I just threw that out as a general.
Can you clarify more what you mean by that?
Well, if you just go through the reports, there's, it's pretty generic, general stuff, but went to this meeting and went to this meeting and went to this presentation, but I don't read much in there about I contacted 14 farmers or I contacted 14 landowners. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I don't know all their, so that's just a question.
So Megan, my follow-up question would be, do you feel like that those are the reports happening that way because that's all they're doing, or is it because they're trying to meet particular KPIs or grant requirements? What is being reflected in how those reports are being done?
So I think you're seeing all of my technicians write the reports differently. So we can
Yep.
start with that.
I know.
You notice that some of them will just have their meetings
Yep.
and will just have maybe their accomplishments.
Okay.
But then some might write them week by week or day by day through the week and just highlight a few things they've worked on and maybe put some goals. So I do think there's definitely not consistency among the reports. It doesn't particularly mean that they aren't accomplishing a lot. Maybe I can tell you that they are all very high functioning and they are working with people. But maybe there's a place to reflect that piece where, where I can say, Natalie and Will, through the invasive species program, they talked to 75 landowners this week type of feel, where I could say something, or I could ask, because we don't put anything in there about who we've impacted.
Right.
I don't think any of us.
I guess that's my question. That was the,
Impacted or coming in contact with.
Yes,
Yep.
and you're correct. That's not because it's not happening. I just think that
it's not reported.
Yes.
Okay.
So that could be something we could add. And I think another question I might have for you, because when I hire a new staff member, we take a look at some of the different reports and then I, guide them in how I think they should put them together. But it might be advantageous to find out what you guys would like those reports to actually look like. If there's I appreciate this comment. So if there are other things that you guys would like to see, I can probably make that happen.
I'm not looking for anything. Anything special. I just want to see progress. I'm I'm looking for outreach. I'm looking for contact in the neighborhood and in the
Right.
community.
Yes, okay.
And I just didn't sense a lot of, and some of these employees have been here 3, 4 years, and it's just kind of every month, kind of the same redundant thing, and I get that. You wanna-
Copy and paste.
Yeah,
A
10
lot.
for, I
And you
get, I
know,
get
and when we
that.
do those reports, yeah, we just kind of follow our thing and
Yeah.
throw them. But I would like to hit the points that you guys want to see. So that's why I love putting the goals on there, so you guys know what I'm focusing on the next
Mhm.
month, and then, but I like that suggestion.
Okay.
So-
That is good. So Doug, you had a comment?
So the HR committee, HR person, no, that can't be there. They're gonna meet with every employee, so this would probably be a good opportunity to talk to them about
Mhm,
how they would like to see this format, and give them fair warning, maybe
Mhm.
before
Mhm.
they show up, this is one of the
Mhm.
questions, so they can put a little thought into it.
mhm.
Right, because they may be just doing what they think we want,
Well,
and
no
if we don't
one's
tell
ever
them
questioned, no one's
otherwise,
ever
yeah.
questioned that before,
Um,
and there's a lot of trust there.
yeah,
Okay, and then just to follow up with it, the MEEP.
Mhm.
It says in the report, she got 3 signed up per month. That's good, but can we set that goal a little higher?
You work on our goal
Yeah,
setting
yes,
committee.
you are.
So now remember, this is her first full year.
Yep, I
So
get that.
when we set, well, this is kind of going backwards because you don't really know that, but when we set her goals, we didn't know what we were going, what she would look at.
Yeah.
But I think that will be really helpful when she goes through what she's done and the work she's accomplished, the people she's worked with. So sometime, you know, with the verifications, yes, she got 3 verifications. That doesn't mean she didn't go on 15 site
Right.
visits this month and had 75 risk reductions.
Right.
mhm.
But that's not in there.
I
Well-
just caught her a little, just briefly, 5 minutes at the resilience meeting. I
Yeah.
said, how's it going? Good, she said, I'm busy. I said, are you branching out? Oh, yeah, she said, that's good. That's all I wanted. That's all I need.
She actually is always really
She's upbeat.
energetic. to go
Yeah,
do it.
she's up.
Our past one years ago,
Mhm,
before your time, always had that in his report.
mhm.
And,
We could probably change up that
you know,
graph
how
too.
many people he's seen and how many he contacted and,
Mhm.
you know, it was interesting, like I say, it
And
gave you a
and how
little bit
many of
of.
them, yes or no? I mean, you
And
know,
that's
it's-
really easy for her. She has a database. She has to enter all
Perfect.
that in, so it won't be, and the same with produce safety. When we get Morgan up and moving,
Mhm.
hers will be a lot like Karen's.
Mhm.
Because they have all those same metrics they have to follow.
I'm assuming we can get the numbers of what the average meat tech signs or sees or.
Well, that's how they get their little word at the end, right?
This year they're
Well, that
not,
could be.
yeah, they do.
Because Sarah got one.
But it'd be interesting to, I mean. to-
Compare ourselves to.
put- Yeah, I mean, to
Yeah,
say,
right,
okay, this is the
right.
norm.
And they do,
Benchmark.
and they do that, so I can send that to you guys too. At the end of
That'd be
this,
interesting.
this
number
week,
to
the end
see.
of October, I will know where everybody stands.
Oh, very good. Does the RCPP fall under that report column you were just talking about?
I believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
their guys are in there, but they don't.
Okay, just a couple things that caught my eye there. Cost. I'm a farmer. I'm cost conscious.
Mhm.
Who sets the rate of the payout? I'm gonna use cover crops as an example. They got them in there, the ones I did the math on, about $63 to $65 an acre.
NRCS sets that rate.
They do. So we have no control of that. So I'm just thinking conservatively, I want to get 2 acres for that instead of 1 and get more acres. That's the way I think.
Yeah.
We try to put cover crops in that $15 to $20 range. Ben always paid about 30, 35. And this went to 63 and it's like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Okay, then my next question is, what is brush management? What does that include?
I believe the brush management is for a property where it's like cutting down certain invasive trees or something. I forget, I wasn't on the site visit, but I believe it's just clearing trees to make space for other habitat that is going in or something.
At
But
100,
don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. I haven't
But
worked
I will-
directly on it, but that Kyle has
Yeah,
mostly.
we'll have to ask Kyle exactly what that plan consists of, but,
It's more of like tree management generally, but again. don't quote
and
me
not
on it.
all of these got funded. So I think of the 6 or 7, what, 3?
2 for sure, 3 hopefully.
So to go back to, first of all, to talk about the reports, I do think it's really helpful to know what staff are already tracking that they can easily add, because the last thing I want to do is add work that's
That's
going
cool.
to take away time from the work they're doing. So I absolutely want to get their feedback on how can we support you in creating a better system that allows those reports. And the other thing that might be helpful in regards to reporting is I'd love to chat with you more, maybe before the performance reviews, on how that's tied to the grant funding specifically. Like, what do we utilize from that report, if anything, to both apply for grant renewals as well as for additional grants? Because I know those measurable points are really significant in achieving grants successfully. So if we can really fine tune that reporting process, that could make us far more attractive for grant applications and save our staff time on the grant applications, right? Because they've already got a lot of data to work on. With the NRCS point, if that's like really prohibitively expensive, that's a thing that we might want to consider bringing up as a resolution, either internally or through MACD, that we can kind of, because of MACD's shift to being more legislative action, that's the kind of thing that we could definitely bring to them and say, this is being prohibitive for our farmers if we
No,
could
they're
figure it
actually
out
over-
over
They're
there.
actually,
They're overpaying the
it's a
farmer.
sweet deal. They're
Oh!
it's the opposite way of what you're.
Yeah.
It's like if they're
don't.
charging too much that they won't do it, then that's a problem we need to solve.
So I want to use that $63 and cover 2 acres and get
Right.
2 farmers enrolled versus
Gotcha.
1 reaping all the cash. You
Gotcha.
follow me?
So
Tim's
get
not about
wider prospect. Okay.
I don't know how much power we have there, but what I do know is that Heather used to sit with us at some point in the year, and there were certain things that we could make recommendations on.
Okay.
And Sharcy has just started. She started yesterday, so she'll be at our next board meeting.
This is Heather's replacement.
Sharcy
Okay.
Ray. She seems- She seems really good. She's been attentive and she's diving in. So maybe, and I will ask her if when that review might be coming up, so we can,
Have a little influence. or-
whatever influence we have,
Yeah.
that would be where we can place that.
A little bit to shine light on that number. I've been in on with different things over the years. Tracking my costs on a project and then submitting that back to Heather or, the person that had Heather's job before her. And that number is for somebody out in Montana, it's for somebody in
It's all
Maine,
the same.
it's somebody in Florida. I mean, that's a federal number.
Generic.
It's a
Mhm.
federal number that they put out there, and if somebody in Florida, it costs them that much, well, then it costs somebody in Michigan that much, so to speak. So that's where they come up with that number, and it's a number of, it's like, I'm gonna say union rates, it's not, did you pay yourself for your tractor, did you pay yourself for your ROE, I mean, all that, they figure every little thing in there.
Mhm.
Again, which
So-
sometimes you and I don't, we got the tractor, we didn't have to
Right.
charge ourselves
Or
for
we
that.
charge less.
Correct, but like I say, and it's kind of a union federal wage. That's where they come up with the number.
So I guess my question would, we don't have the power to split that in half?
No.
And do twice as much?
Like I say, that is a federal number that's
Okay.
that's
You answered
come
my
down the
question.
line, so yeah, that is a non-negotiable, so to speak.
I got it.
It's kind of like when MSU comes up with, what it costs to parse an acre, hey, how much it costs, a planting,
Produce 100 pounds a month.
yeah, that type
They
of
can
thing.
do it cheaper than I can. so.
So, yeah, that's, like I say, but that number is well above our pay grade. Somebody higher up the ladder is making it.
Tim, I have clarification on that brush management practice too.
Um,
It's basically, yeah, it's just removal of woody or plants that are, usually those are either invasive or noxious, and a lot of times it's used in collaboration with other practices,
So
so.
what do they do? Brush hog it or do they go out
I think they're-
manually cut it?
I think these guys maybe are manually cutting it
Do they spray
themselves.
it and kill it? So it
They
don't grow
could
back?
potentially, I think it depends, I think you get different rates depending on how you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you're gonna put a fence on your farm and you need to remove brush, i.e. you go into a brush management program.
Next subject.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got your paper all covered?
Nope, now we got more of this, a little later. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. I guess it's up to Lexi for your report. But we never get to you.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there.
maneuver it from the TV.
Yeah.
And of course, it's showing up here, so I have to switch it over.
All right, I have got just a short presentation for you tonight about Raindrop Rescue. It is a program that I've kind of been developing over the last 6 or so months. I reached out to some different entities that Paul Sachs had worked with about the Groundwater Sustainability Initiative. I was looking for green stormwater infrastructure opportunities and needs in the county. And what I found instead were a bunch of teachers and school districts with needs to do some green water, stormwater infrastructure projects, but also just really enhance what they can offer students in terms of outdoor natural resource education. And so next slide. So kind of as we've worked with this, these are the general goals that we've kind of come up with. So Raindrop Rescue is a program offering technical and possible monetary assistance to schools, communities, and residential homeowners to install native plantings and green stormwater infrastructure with the ultimate goal of helping Ottawa County's groundwater shortage and improving its habitat. And then to break that down into further goals, so what we're looking to do is actually get projects in the ground. We want to install native plant material. This is going to help reduce the amount of irrigation that we need. It's also going to help groundwater infiltrate back into Ottawa County soils. And we want to, that's kind of the second point, create more resilient schoolyards, home yards, streets, and parking lots with these practices, because that helps reduce the effect of severe weather, such as drought or flooding, either way. And then there's also, like I said, a huge teacher portion. And so they really like lessons and learning spaces where they're able to have the kids be involved with these practices and actually learn the benefit of them. So those are sort of what we've developed the program with the goals in mind. Next slide. Our very first project was Ferry Elementary here in Grand Haven. So their STEM teacher came to me and he had a bunch of wonderful ideas. He's worked with our SISMA a few times in the past to have the kids out and identifying and removing invasives. We've talked about potentially wanting to do, he has a STEM project with the kids where they come up with problem solving. We've talked about doing something with that group with a farm, but with just staff shortages and bus driver shortages and things like that, transporting the kids anywhere right now is a huge hassle. So not much has come of that part of the project. But they also wanted a 5x10 native garden in their already established outdoor classroom area. So we worked with the kids, we talked about design. The kids got to go out and stake it and learn about angles. We put the raised garden sides up. And then we worked on installing it with them and planting with them. It was the first time some of them have ever planted a plant, and so that was really
What
cool.
age group are you working with, Lexi?
Mostly,
What's it designed for?
Mostly right now I have elementary schools reaching out. And then I have one middle school.
That's when they're the most impressionable, right?
Yes, and they're so excited about it and so interested, and it's a really good age group to get them jazzed up about the topic and really hear like what's important to them.
And it fits with their learning objectives from a science
Yes.
standpoint too. That's what they're learning about in our
Yes.
classroom.
Next slide. So this is also Ferry Elementary. So as far as actually installing these gardens, that's what it looks like after we installed it. That's what it looks like later this year when I went out to weed it. We had a little bit of plant loss from some of the really small plants that were installed. And then also, if you look all the way to the far side of the garden, there's like an ornamental grass that's growing up along the sides. I think that that's just what's going to happen when we have very young children trying to follow garden design plans. So kind of it's funny to me. So these gardens are going really well though, and they are coming in well. This is a good site, and so now what we'll be doing moving forward is they have a little bit of money left in their grant and they want educational signage. And then we'll be working with the STEM teacher to see what lessons would benefit their curriculum the most to continue this education and make the most of using this garden as we move forward. Robinson Elementary is another one that I've been working with, and they have some very big ideas. The movement that we made this summer, which it's hard to make any movement in the summer because schools are out and people are gone. The first picture I took this spring, and it's kind of hard to see because it's from a different angle, but there are woodies all throughout the edge of that area. I got the strike team for 2 days, and so they were going to try to remove woodies and remove the ivy in that area so we could start moving forward with planting this fall. Unfortunately, they got rained out one day, but they did get all the woodies removed. And so that's kind of how these projects are gonna go when there's not like a huge funder and I'm just working with teachers who are doing the best they can with the time they have. So ivy is still a step that's next up, but next slide. Allendale Public is a very cool opportunity. This first picture here is a outdoor corridor that they have that they would like to remove turf from because it's an unnecessary maintenance need. And then it will also help with rainwater retention and things like that where they are. It can also be a learning area for the students. And then kind of at that downward spot, they have a outdoor science classroom that they already use with a spring that runs through the back of that playground. And so they would like some educational signage and things like that, ways to further integrate with that science classroom, macroinvertebrate monitoring and things like that, what we did at Coopersville Public Schools. Hudsonville Christian came to me with a structural need. So apparently water comes out of those 2 downspouts at a very, very high rate, and it's eroding some of the ground. They're concerned about how much water is coming out in that spot so close to the school. And so they wondered how that need could be addressed while also providing education for the kids. So we talked about again, rain barrels, cisterns, things like that. They have a huge garden on their school properties. And so figuring out how we could get the kids involved with further watering and caring for that garden while also solving that need is a focus of this project. Next slide. Holland Language Academy, they are an urban school and their lawn clearly is not maintained. Yes, they don't have any irrigation there, and yes, no maintenance. So that's an area where they are looking at how they can get all the benefits of green stormwater infrastructure, reduce erosion, help beautify that area, things like that through native plantings. And it is I believe, a science teacher at that school who is interested in leading these projects. So those are just a few. I have more schools, and then I have a couple other community entities. So I had a church reach out to me. They are not utilizing their entire parking lot, and they also have a stream that runs right across their parking lot. So what they would like to do is find funding to take out about 10 spaces, put in a large bioswale, and stop runoff from running directly from their parking lot into that stream. So that's a project that's been brought up and proposed. The Grand Haven Community Garden also reached out to me. They had utility work come through and take out a huge native planting that ran along the edge of their garden. And so they wanted that area reestablished and native plants and pollinators that were good for their growing space. So that's another project we've taken on. Next steps for this project, because this is not like our other programs in that it is not currently established. It's not a grant program that exists and we went out and decided to do work for. So, so the way that I'm approaching it is a little bit different. Right now, for the teachers who have the best buy-in from their administration and want to move forward quickly, I have identified small funding sources and small grants that will cover each of their projects. So Sarah and I, as I get ready to go on leave, are working on proposals for those funding sources. So we can get those projects in the ground, hopefully with some examples that's gonna boost our value in getting this project funded by an umbrella source or a large grant that would be able to cover my time, as well as installing these projects. There are a lot of organizations who are greatly interested in the response that I've had from teachers. So pretty much every single project that's come to me has been through word of mouth. This is a need that we weren't aware was in the community, and it's been a huge response. So Elgrow is highly interested in that. Groundswell through GVSU is highly interested in that. They want to have meetings with me and talk about what schools are interested in, things like that. So strengthening those partnerships and figuring out more where we can use their resources to help strengthen this program and kind of the base of it, since it's new, I think will be a great benefit to us. And then when we joined the Groundwater Sustainability Initiative with the county a couple years ago, I had prepped a bunch of handouts and informational pieces, and those all still exist. They just are not branded. And so finishing development of those so that they are part of what we can offer is another thing on my list. So I know that was a pretty quick rundown, but
What are you thinking dollar number? What it's gonna take to, I guess, get this up and running? What's
so
our pie in the sky? I mean, I'm assuming you got a number that you have in your head of what it's gonna take. What are we talking?
yeah, so my pie in the sky number, if I were to have this be my full-time technical position and things like that, I'd probably want $250,000 to $300,000 for a normal grant period. Just supplies for these projects mostly run about $500 to $1,000 per project. Luckily, we live in an area where this is very highly supported, and so there are so many funding sources for me to reach out to. Not only small grant sources, but I've had a couple corporations reach out and ask me to provide write-ups to them on what we're providing to the education sector, and then they want to make a recurring donation to us for that. And then kind of a stepping stone that we've talked about. So right now, like I said, I've identified small funding sources for each of the projects that I have. We also, you know, in the interim, if we could take that example and go to like a community foundation and get 70 grand to cover funding for a year, if we needed to, if I needed more time to plan or something like that, for us to actually have a full proposal for one of the large sources like Sustain Our Great Lakes or the Stewardship Foundation, or you know, something through Eagle. If there was something like that, then that's another option for us as well. I've had a couple meetings with the Holland and Zealand Community Foundation about what they would be looking for in a proposal, and so we've got some information on what they would like to see to fund.
Interesting.
Great job.
Thanks.
I mean, really great job. This is something good to start out with, and your stuff's gonna start like next year, right? Because they're kind of getting late in the year.
Yeah,
Cleaning now.
so the community garden will be finished by this fall. But a lot of the teachers I've talked to, I've made it very clear that we're looking at years of a timeline,
Yeah.
and we can start with small projects, or we can start with classroom lessons if we're not able to get a project on the ground right away. But because they're really only available in the spring and the fall, that really limits
Right.
how much time I have to get projects done at schools.
I have a couple questions. First of all, there's some ongoing smaller maintenance stuff, right, that needs to be done with these projects, like you mentioned, weeding. And there's some bigger things of like removing a whole area, that kind of thing. Is that something that might be a good fit to involve volunteers on for, you know, at any different, just volunteers in the community who are interested in that work, who are maybe gardeners who, you know, understand kind of the basics? if
Yeah.
we could coordinate something like that.
Yes, that is definitely one of the trickier parts of this. Typically, a school administrator will not buy into a project without their maintenance plan. Ferry Elementary was the very first one that we did, and so without a big plan, I am involved in the maintenance, which luckily is a 5x10 raised plot, so it's not too bad. But for the other ones, Robinson, we've had to make it clear that we can't be involved in maintenance. At Holland Language Academy, a parent has come out and said that they will be responsible for the garden during the summer. So I think getting a volunteer base established would be incredible, because right now I have to take it as a case by case basis. And
Well, and if the schools, that brings up another great thing, like involving the PTOs, like, you know, for example, like up at Black River, they have a really strong PTO. So
Okay.
that's something that if they did a project, I'm sure they would be able to like wrap it in. And at Black River, the kids are required to do a certain number of volunteer hours.
okay.
Like they're required to do 100 hours a year
Mhm.
in high school.
I use
So they're always looking for volunteer things for
That's
their high schoolers.
very helpful.
Mhm.
I know a couple of the schools, like Allendale Public and Allendale Christian, they had like environmental clubs
Yeah.
before COVID.
Yeah.
So the teachers that have reached out to me, I have talked to them a little bit about if those could be reestablished, because that would
Mhm.
kind of solve the problem right there.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I like that.
Another thought that I had as far as funding, has it been any research or thought into tying it into any of the mental and emotional health initiatives? Because obviously getting outside, working with plants, getting in the dirt has a really direct correlation to mental health. And there's a lot of funding and money getting pushed into mental health initiatives for the schools. So do you think that that would be a possible additional alternative area of funding beyond just called conservation funding?
It could. I mean, if you sent me those funding sources, I can look at their RFPs or see kind of what they're looking for. I mean, schools are the largest portion of this, and there is a lot of study to determine that children getting out of classrooms and getting their hands on tools and in dirt and things like that are very beneficial. So that's a possibility for sure.
And the other idea, as you were talking, was maybe there's an opportunity to do a both and build infrastructure for these projects while doing education. So like, I don't have anything more specific, but just kind of something to put on our radar. So for example, we could do like a workshop at Hemlock or wherever about how to build rain barrels, demonstrate it, have people build the rain barrels, and then have them go to these schools that we're working with. And that can be, you know, somewhat self-funded, because there's no reason we couldn't even charge a registration fee for a workshop like that. And I think people would be excited to know that the things that they were working on was going to a project like this. So that's just another thought that came to mind as far as trying to see how can we collaboratively join some of the other programming things we're doing to make the biggest impact. So those were the
No,
thoughts I had.
I love that. I am going to have, which potentially I could reach out to you about what date we set, but I'm going to be
Mhm.
meeting with the education coordinators at the Outdoor Discovery Center who go
Awesome.
and do lessons at schools.
Mhm.
I'm not totally sure what my goal is with that meeting at
Okay.
this point. I just know that when I had a discussion with the Outdoor Discovery Center about what this program was, and I wanted to be connected with more schools in the Holland Zealand area. Kelly just highly recommended that I meet with them and talk about what they do. So
Yeah, there might be some partnership opportunities there.
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
That's a great job there. We've done the rain barrels before.
I want a rain barrel. That's what I want. I want about 10 rain barrels, actually.
Be around Green Haven, there's probably still a few left. Old business, legislative committee. That's you and I.
Yeah, we haven't even had a chance to talk about
I was
that.
gonna say,
So
do we have an update?
there's the update is that Matt and I talked about talking about it.
Perfect.
So I think, yeah, I think you had called me, and wanted me to put this on the agenda, so we could maybe formalize a committee, was that
Yeah,
the case?
yes,
Yes,
And I
because we
think,
never had formalized it.
I
So
think that was what this was
Okay,
on there for.
great.
do we need to vote on who's on that committee, I'm assuming?
You do.
So,
So
could
we
I
have
get
to
a,
nominate
excuse me.
people, or how does that work?
Or if someone just made a motion that Rivka and myself were on this committee, would probably work.
I'll make a motion that Rivka and Matt are on the committee.
I'll support.
All those in favor of Doug's motion to, say aye,
I,
opposed.
It's more-
Well, there's your
Right.
legislative committee, all finalized and
Great.
formal. MACD update. I heard there's new news from the regional meeting.
there is new news. Can I,
Who's gonna give the report on the regional meeting?
Well, I think Rivka can, because she is now the vice president of Region 7.
yeah,
Yes, she
I don't
is.
know how that happened, but
I
it did
did.
happen.
She
But it's
nudged me
great.
and goes,
It's
"You got a
great.
nominee."
I remember it slightly differently,
I
but
do have the agenda in my office if you want me to grab it. Are you good?
no, I'm good. I'm totally good. Yeah, so we now have a seat at the table at MACD, literally.
Congratulations.
So, yeah. I've been talking with Paul and the treasurer. Can't remember his name.
Paul, I'm assuming is the.
He's
president, vice chair,
chair. Yep.
Daryl?
Maybe.
Anyway,
So, but they've been really helping me kind of get an idea of what is happening, a lot of the new changes. There's a new executive director at the MACD who is making a big shift towards more legislative action. And really using the MACD in a stronger way to advocate with our legislators to do things like make recommendations and motions like what was at the MACD. The two things that were voted on and approved as recommendations at the region meeting to come from Region 7 as a whole were two things that had been created by the Kent Conservation District, and they had approved it internally and they brought it to the whole board to get the entire Region 7 to support. One was related to no longer calling tilling practices conservation tilling, because they felt
Thank
that
you.
was confusing because tillage is not inherently a conservation practice, regardless of what kind of tillage it is.
Thank you.
So amending the language in any state or local documentation about that was voted on and approved by the board. And the other one was an appeal to the state to make some kind of standardized regulations for septic systems for their installation and maintenance, because apparently we are the only state in the US that does not have that in existence. There are no existing regulations about septic system installation or maintenance, which creates all kinds of problems. I think the statistic, Doug, correct me if I'm remembering this wrong, was 30 or 33% of our septic systems in the state of Michigan are in failure.
yeah. That's what they were saying.
Well, they're changing that rapidly because every house that I've been
Oh.
involved with, they condemn the septic.
Yeah. Yep. So because there's not clear regulations on the front end, and then there's not maintenance throughout, and then we have just these septic systems failing throughout the state, which is obviously directly impacting all of the water issues in a really profound way. So basically it was a call to legislators to say, we need something here.
Okay.
So both of those were approved, though. That was the big,
I don't think you had to tell the legislators to get more regulation.
right? You would think. Those were the two big things at the MACD meeting, other than voting on the new leadership. Paul is the existing chair and he is continuing that position. The treasurer is also the existing treasurer. And then I'm the vice chair.
New kid.
So, yeah. New kid on
And
the
of
block.
course, with that comes dues. We've always wrestled with the dues to MC.
Well, and that was
MACD.
one thing that Megan mentioned at the MACD meeting, is feeling like, historically, we haven't really gotten much out of the dues.
Right.
And because I don't really have a huge history on what that's looked like in the past, one thing that I had said to her at the time was maybe this is a great opportunity for us to start saying, what do we want from them? What would make it worth it for us? And now that we have a seat at the table, we have more ability to steer that direction a little bit more and say, we need X, Y, Z from you in order to, be more successful, to make this worthwhile for us. I would say there is an argument to be made additionally for supporting the MACD, just because I think what they're doing is being impactful for other conservation districts that don't have the same funding and supports that we do, which, is just a ethically good thing to do. Is try to help the rest of the state. Unless we feel like they're epically failing again, in which case, let's see how we can fix it. So,
Yeah, and I had just grabbed the dues packet that they put together for us. So I wanted to kind of just highlight a few things. In the past, we typically go with the bronze level due, which is the lowest of the 4 levels. What this provides us is legislative advocacy. It provides us with that 501c3 grant umbrella. So that can be helpful. It's in some purposes, although we do not utilize that. It provides us with our insurance, so we get a discount from Fishers with any level of membership, and we do get that. You can get a discount for events and conferences for the MACD conferences. We do not at bronze level. If you go to silver level, you get a $20 discount for myself and directors, 40 at gold, 60 at platinum. They offer us free registration for directors for virtual meetings, and all levels get that. Calendar year 2023 summer conference and fall conference, we get a free second board member. All levels get that. Platinum gets 2 free board members. They also offer us the reforestation program advertising campaign. They do that for all levels. This one they only do for the platinum level. It is a 1 new custom video advertisement for social media. All levels get outreach programs through state media, MACD website, and Facebook. All levels get marketing and branding tools, including the MACD logo. All levels get a discount through the AM Leonard Group buying power. All levels get the MACD AMS website and Google for nonprofits. All levels use the member services through Slack, MACD email. Only the platinum level gets a discount on MACD web store purchases, and all levels get 1 vote. So what I had said was there's really not a lot of incentive for us to go up a level, particularly other than to contribute to MACD.
What
I
are the
think-
levels? What is the
Yep.
pay?
So the bronze is $350 to $699. The silver is $700 to $999. The gold is $1,000 to $1,299, and the platinum is $1,300. So those are the different levels. We have historically.
Because we paid 5 last time, so now they're giving us a choice.
We played $250 last time.
Oh.
This actually went up.
yeah,
So
like $50.
bronze
yeah,
level
I
is.
thought it was- Okay, sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
lost.
fine. So bronze levels, what we've traditionally done in the past.
Mhm.
And that's basically.
And you
what
give a
this is about.
range, like, so
You
you
can
can give
give a
anywhere
range.
from 240 to
So
7.
350 to 699 would stay bronze. And then so on, 700, 999.
What
was silver.
difference, I mean, what, if you're a bigger county, smaller county, what, I mean, why do they give you a range? I mean,
It's just what we're donating to MACD.
Ah,
So
okay.
similar to the way we function, they also have the same challenges with their funding.
Yeah.
And so this is a way that they supplement their funding.
Mhm.
And so I think that's basically the case.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
And it
that's,
seems like the only real difference is, is once we get up into like the platinum level, getting the discounts on conferences, and that kind of thing.
yeah, you get the discount on the conference, what's the other one?
We haven't went to the conference yet, though.
Yeah, I know. I know. I know, we can
Maybe we
discuss
should go to
this.
the discount.
Yeah, right.
I Cadillac and drive a Yugo.
Oh, when we get the social media thing.
Oh,
And we get 20% off all merchandise on MECD web store.
what is the
No.
merchandise?
Actually, I bought a hat off them one
You
time.
get a coffee cup for 20%.
Yeah,
So, anyway, I think it's really about how much do we want to support MECD? I think that's probably what the bottom line is.
we gave $250 last year. Oh, and I'm only going 3.
That's what they, but you can change that. It's easy.
I think, I see,
You signed it already?
I think I
So you
did.
do her cohorts.
I've
No,
been
I
asking
just
her
know
all
what-
kinds of questions.
I already know
don't.
what's gonna happen. No, I don't always know, but that's what's happened in the past. I can totally change it.
Okay, I will make a motion. So bronze level for $350 for FMC.
Any discussion? We haven't been discussing much tonight. Any discussion? Seems I guess we had a discussion, didn't we? We're getting this backwards.
Well, and I mean, I feel like I'm a biased source at this point. At this point.
You looking for more funding?
I'd say get in there,
I'm gonna
get
join her, right?
get your feet wet and,
Yeah.
and see once
Yeah,
where
then-
that leads us. We can
Come back to it.
come back to it. I mean,
Yeah.
would be my suggestion yet.
Yep,
We were the lowest.
we were,
When we talked.
Yeah.
But all of them are looking to Megan. Run the conservation district.
It's not surprising.
You know, and so there's been things that I've reached out to MSD for assistance, and the things that I have reached out for, they can't provide, they don't have resources for. So in the past, I've never seen a whole lot of need. But what I do appreciate is what Dan has done over the last 2 years. He's been the executive director. This is our second year of state funding. That's pretty amazing. So maybe there is some change coming. I think Rivka being on this board, that we might be able to have some input on what districts need. Because I can think of several things we need. We need some legal advice. We need HR advice. We need some things. And I would be willing to pay $1,300 if that meant I got 5 hours of HR help every year or
Right.
whatever.
right.
If I got 5 hours of legal assistance, whatever that might be. But this stuff doesn't give me that.
Well, let's hold on it then. All those in favor of the 350 level, correct?
Yeah.
All those in favor of cutting check for 350 to the MACD, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Write the check.
Sorry, who was the second to Doug's motion?
Tim,
Tim. Winter conference.
remind me, what are the dates on it? Do you have that in front of
Winter
you?
conference, yeah. So they have moved it to December.
Mhm.
And
It's first week. maybe.
it is the first week, and I want to say it's the 5th and 6th.
I think that's one of those two.
It's the 5th through the 7th. It is still at Shanty Creek. And their ski
Traverse
hills
City.
will be open.
Oh, that's-
It is Bel Air, Michigan. So not far from Traverse City, but a
Yeah,
little south,
yep.
a good 3 hours.
22.
No, it's not. It was kind of right in the middle. I'll use my hand.
You said Matt, no?
It'll be interesting, and I actually am on the planning committee because I opened my mouth. We were planning cultivating resilience, and Jerry Miller was there, who is the MACD president or
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah, and he's also the chair of the Kent
And
Conservation District.
he and I have a good relationship, and we're chatting. And so, Jerry, I was really disappointed in the summer conference. There was no tracks for district managers. I said, we had the meet, but I wouldn't bring any of my other techs or even a board member because there was just nothing for them. And before I know it, I get an invite to be part of the planning committee. And I was like, I have some ideas. And he was like, really, what are your ideas? And I was like, well, and so I talked about the having 2 tracks, like for newbies, but also for non-newbies. And So suddenly I'm on this planning committee, but,
When do we need to know that by? I mean, December is, like, is
Yeah.
fast approaching.
registration isn't out yet, but I'm going to say it, we'll probably see it here early to mid-October.
Okay.
There is no agenda yet. I know there's gonna be another planning committee, but one of the things that they are looking at is doing a track for directors specifically. And then they're also looking at doing, then you have your meat and technical track, but doing a track that is, not all just for new executive directors, because that has been something I have been frustrated with.
Well, why don't we keep it on the radar,
Mhm.
and when we get some information on it, sure to let us know.
It's not a bad little place to take your family to, either, keep it, do a little skiing, get out of town for a minute, even if you just came for a day.
Kill my son.
You ski.
You don't have to ski,
Mhm.
you can sit by the fire. It's a good brewery.
You didn't
There is a
have to
good
ski,
brewery.
obviously. New business. Human resources.
So I'm gonna go
HR.
ahead and let Doug or Rivka talk about the HR activities over the last.
I've already nominated Rivka.
Okay,
We talked about this one.
so I'm
He's
kind
a
of just
big
gonna pass
nominator,
this,
ain't
Rivka, I'm gonna pass this over to you. I don't really have anything to say other
Okay.
than you guys can kind of update on that.
So we hired a new person for the produce safety position, Morgan Anderson. I'm really excited about her. I think she's just such a good fit, and she has so much energy and passion about this, and she comes from a farming family, and she has an amazing educational background. So she's really got a good combination of skills and experience that I think is going to make her great for this role. So I'm
Went to
really,
Michigan.
yes,
I was gonna say,
yes.
is she from this area? or-
Yes,
or-
yep, her dad's farm is in Kent County, so.
Dwayne?
I think.
That I don't know.
Sounds familiar.
Farmer Anderson.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
What's her name?
Morgan Anderson.
I'm gonna pull up her resume. for you.
So, yeah, we interviewed, we tried to schedule interviews with 4 candidates, 3 actually scheduled interviews. 1 pulled out of the process after the interview, which was our internal person. And the other candidate was a great candidate. I think, she would be a good fit for a different type of role, but didn't really seem like a great fit for the safety position, and was in Florida, and it logistically was going to have a hard time getting here, et cetera, et cetera. So that has been the big focus of HR. The next thing coming up is the personnel reports, which Megan and I have scheduled. Are you gonna make it to any of those? I don't.
I gave her a date, 1 week that I could not make it. Both days are in that week.
So Megan and I will be doing personnel reviews this month, and we'll be able to have those reports on our next meeting. Anything else you wanted me to cover or talk about for HR other than new hire and scheduling of personnel?
I think that's really mostly what we've done. When we had the meeting,
Yeah, I
so.
think so. Yeah.
And then what you'll see in your packet are, you saw the work agreements. Those are for the technicians for the next fiscal year. I haven't talked to them about where their wages yet. That'll happen at their performance review. So I haven't done that, but this is what I'd like to propose. So you saw those in there. I also printed or created for you all this wage snapshot, which I actually thought was pretty cool. It showed you how many hours each individual will be working in each program, so where their funds are coming from, because that's always a question. Oh, well, how do these people get paid? What grant? And then I also showed you what their gross wages and compared to what it actually costs
Is that in this
For the-
packet here?
for what it was in your packet. But I
Here's,
didn't reprint it.
Each one.
So what, I can put that in.
Oh, maybe it's in here.
It isn't unless you
It's
printed it.
used.
And what it actually costs the grant, so that's different than what their gross wages. So I thought it was just a good snapshot. something that Matt had asked me to put together, and I thought, yeah, I can do that. That's actually a really good
Oh,
idea.
yeah, I seen that on the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that stimulated a question. What is the difference between the fringe and the fringe comes out of the
Mhm.
grant?
The French does come out of the grant,
Okay,
typically if they're grant employees.
So I guess
Now,
my question was, did that increase their wages or just diversify it?
I think Ben's was different. wasn't
Ben's
it?
is different because,
Two places is different.
okay, let me explain this sheet. I'm gonna print it, so you all have one while I explain it. Hold on.
Yeah.
You know, one thing, you guys, when we were at that Region 7 meeting, Muskegon talked about buying a farm that was a celery farm north of them through donations and stuff, and one of them, big one, was Trout, or was it Trout Unlimited, I think?
What would they do with it?
And they actually worked with some foundations and stuff, and they donated it to them when they got done.
Mhm.
I think it's if you take 31 north of the
Yeah.
Causeway, it's that farm they're flooding and doing, they're reclaiming it.
It looks like they're
I
doing the
think-
same thing that Bullhouse is just north in the, or south in the way though. I went over there through there today, and it was just digging all that dirt out of there.
Well, like I say, I think that's the one that, that salary farm. Yeah, it's that muck ground, like I say, just
But they-
north of the Causeway there. You
But
go
they
across
bought it with a bunch of organizations, and they gave it away.
So would they give it to the
They
state?
give it to the conservation
Yeah.
district, or they give it,
No, they didn't keep it for themselves. They gave it to somebody else. I don't remember who it was.
I
Do
don't
you?
remember.
Is this like mitigating wetlands or something?
I think it was kind of one of them.
It might have been Ducks Unlimited they worked with, not trout, ducks, I think.
I'm just
So
guessing.
if
it's
farmer
that.
clears wetland, he can buy credit or something from this one and they.
I think that's, now, this one, they had so much trouble with it flooding all the time that they give up, trying to farm that piece of ground. I mean, there's shacks that are flooded, and it's been flooded for now, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I'm just guessing.
While we're
that's the
waiting
one.
for Megan, totally off topic, do any of you have any access or knowledge of how to get 500 gallons of water put into a dunk tank?
Put into a what?
Anybody you can refer me to, there's a dunk tank for a school event that needs 500 gallons of
Where's it
water.
located?
They're doing it at Hope College at the track.
I'll let you borrow my trash.
On
can.
Wilson?
The
On Wilson?
Where's the water?
Hope
source?
College, that's in
College.
Holland.
But where's
fire,
the
the
water
fire department said that they could do it, but only if it was 100 feet from the hydrant, which it's not.
It's more than that. So you got somebody
So
transport
we need somebody
water.
with a hose or a water truck.
Oh,
that
you
can
need the
hold
water.
500
I was
source.
gonna say there's
That's it.
several guys with water trucks that fill pools, but
If you can
That's
give
a
me
lot of water.
recommendations,
that's-
let me
The Outdoor
know.
Discovery Center has a giant tank that they can take around the sites that they call the water monster.
Hmm.
That might be.
Who's a farmer around there? It's got a little spray
Yeah.
truck. or
Well, that's
something,
why I was
1,000
like,
gallons or
the
something.
chair of the PTO called me and was like, Rivka, help me. I'm like, I'm going to this meeting where everybody's got some good connection to water. Somebody's got to have
If it
it.
was close to me, I could do that, but I don't want to take my old truck all the way to Holland.
What is this called? Water?
They call it the water monster,
Monster.
but
It's for the Black Rivers Fun Walk, which is like their huge, like there's gonna be over 1,100 people there. So it's like sponsorship opportunity if somebody wants their name slapped on all the advertising and,
Is
you
this
know.
Something you can talk to the fire department about
The way I
getting
see it, but I don't.
Yeah,
understand
they
real well.
run a
can't do
hose
it.
from one to-
I don't know who it is.
Long story, but they
Dave
were, they
Powell,
thought they
I've seen
had the
those.
fire department lined up and
Huh?
then turns out,
Oh,
No,
I'll
they
send
actually
you my
don't.
contact information at the center
Cool.
tomorrow.
cool, that would be awesome.
I was relying on the farmers.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, Fringe, let's talk about Fringe. So this is what Fringe consists of. And this is why the number that comes out of the grant or the district, cost the district, is different than what I bring home. So there's two different numbers, or what any of my staff members bring home. We pay Social Security and Medicare, which is 7.65%.
Who's we, the district?
The district or the grant, so
Okay.
whoever I'm charging. So when you're looking at these, for example, me, I get paid by the district and I get paid by a little bit of 319 funds.
Mhm.
So the
I
percentage
have
of
it.
those two would come out of
I
those
have that, with it,
entities.
so she's not on there.
And the top one, you have two sheets, each of you.
Nope.
All the same. Give me that.
Here, this one has Megan on it.
This one's got Megan on it.
Now I see it.
Okay.
All right,
Little confusion here. We'll be all right.
So,
remember what you're
the
dealing with here.
percentage would be different for me, so I'd have, you would pay for, and that's what you see in your appropriations budget. That's why the wage you see in your appropriation budget for myself and for Lexi isn't the wage you see on here. Because we're not being paid all through the district funds. So if the percentage would be based on how many hours. I just showed you, it's about 25%. Social Security, Medicare, workman's comp, so we pay into that. We pay into unemployment, we pay 1.9%. We also then withhold the sick and the vacation time for the year. It's not nearly as important for me, but it's very important for our grant employees. Because what that means is that if we get to the end of the fiscal year and they haven't spent their vacation and sick, we have already withheld it, so then I can pay them out, we can carry it over, whatever we decide to do as a board. But otherwise, they lose it, because I can't go back and ask for vacation and sick
Correct.
in a grant. And then this is where I was able to put our retirement segments. So this is where it comes from. I can't, one of the things you had asked me about stipends, oh no, we talked about bonus. We talked about adding a bonus into the fringe, which I could put there. I can't take it out of wage because I have only a certain plateau I can go to. This is fringe, and that's what you're seeing here. That's the difference between what it actually costs to have an employee, to house an employee, and what they actually bring home. Does that answer this question?
It makes sense, but my question is, I'm just gonna use round numbers. If I was making 50,000 last year,
Uh-huh.
and now all of a sudden 25%, did I get 25% more, or I just got 25% out of a different fund?
They don't get any of that doesn't change their wage at all. So when I go to charge the grant,
So what's the purpose of it?
I have wages,
Yeah,
I have a line item of wages. Let's say I have $100 for wages, and then I have a line item of fringe. And I have $25 for fringe.
Mhm.
So when I report and I say, this person has $100, this person worked $100 worth of wages, I can take it right out of that. And then I can take the fringe out of here. They give me a certain percentage of fringe. They know that I have to pay these things. This isn't this isn't what they make. This
So-
doesn't go in their pocket.
so, but in
This
a
does.
roundabout way, they made more, right? Because they don't have to take it out of that 100.
But
The
that's just-
district
No.
makes more because
pay their
we
own
used
so-
to pay it.
Yeah, this is only half of your social security and Medicare. Every business has to pay
Yeah.
social security and
Yeah,
Medicare on their employees.
Yeah.
And so do we. So
Yeah.
every individual that works, I also pay social security and Medicare. This is half of it.
Mhm.
They're still paying theirs, so it's still coming out of their $100. So if you're in the 30% tax bracket, you're only gonna make 70.
Yep.
So this doesn't change this is just for us to house an employee. We could not have this, but then we'd be responsible for all of that.
I got it.
This part, we've added because grants allow us to take it out of this, but this does go in their pocket.
Long term,
Not the retirement,
long term, it will, yeah.
no, she does it what, quarterly?
Yeah, it goes in their pocket, but it comes out of payroll.
Okay, I understand it better now.
And then, so on that sheet, you see like, I have, under each person's name, I have put the program that I'm charging them for this next year.
Mhm.
So everyone has that spelled out. So I wanted to show you how we're funding each staff member, so it supports the dollar amounts that I'm looking to give my staff, or we are. And then it shows you, so full-time hours are 2,080 hours. And then I show you what it costs. So it shows you, for me, this is what it cost you last year, or the grant total last year. And then what I bring home, so like my gross wage. So that's kind of how it works. As you go down this sheet, you'll see, that's why my rate is different than my actual bring home wage, because it costs the district
Mhm.
the fringe. So
Same with Lexi.
same portions, yeah. So Lexi had this one's different. Next year, Lexi will be all district unless something changes. But last year, that was not the case. She worked like 20 of her hours came out of different sources. So Sarah's a good example. She has half of her time in one grant, half of her time in another. Kyle has some of that, but most of these guys, it's pretty straightforward, which is nice.
What was the question?
I don't remember. Oh, you just want to know more about French.
But we're
So-
gonna need this anyway, so.
Those are that was just so you guys could see where I'm paying people from, and when I made those, that you have an idea of where the funds are coming from. The only people that are getting district funds would be myself and Lexi. And so those two are the ones that you guys would really want to be aware of when you look at the budget for that purpose. So I would like someone to make a motion to vote on the work agreements minus mine. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Mine, I think you guys are gonna talk about here in a minute.
Yeah, that's later on
Mhm.
down there.
Do you have the motion, Lexi?
I can't make it. One of
Somebody
you.
has to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the work agreements as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Alrighty, all those in favor? Rivka, how do you vote?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Let's check. Bank statement, sorry, like half asleep for a second.
Some of these more, we're gonna go serious things we vote on, we're gonna do a roll, vote like
Roll
that.
call.
I think would be better moving on into the future, so when we do that, if you could. You understand? Each individual and how they vote, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so you have your grant, you have your snapshot of the grants. I haven't updated the spending on each grant. I will do that at the end of this month. Seeing that it's the end of the fiscal year, it's really the best time to do it. I think I've mentioned to you guys, I do this top piece gets updated quarterly. It's much easier because that's when I report. So, but it still gives you a snapshot of the funds we're working in. The next thing you'll see is our close the door balance. I use the funding from our balance sheet for the total liabilities and equity. I then subtract out funds that we're holding that aren't district funds, like our suggested service costs, our for hire work. We're a treasurer for the West Michigan Conservation Network. I have a little bit left in our NACD advance, so I subtract those out. So that reduces our fund balance, and here it'll show you our fund balance is $125,059.49. And then I do an estimate on reimbursements to date. So for these 2 months that we have spent and what the estimate I have for reimbursement is at $139,399, which brings our close the door fund to somewhere around $264,458. Now remember that reimbursements are estimates. The great part of what you're going to see at the end of next month will be the close of the fiscal year. So you'll get very accurate numbers. It won't be estimates and guesstimates.
Okay,
So that shows you that. On the back page of that is the district budget. We talked about this last time. Nothing really has changed other than I made some adjustments for the admin wages. As I made those wage sheets, I had gotten closer to the numbers. So that's where I come up. That district budget, that 214,000, flip over your page. Oh no, go to your appropriations budget. This one right here, yeah. Yes. Go right before it. I think it's right before it, Matt.
Got it.
Okay. So what you see here, you see what we have brought in and what we have spent in fiscal year 22.
Mhm.
You see, the first portion was what
Yes.
we projected and what the actual expenses were. The first thing we need we're gonna get to this, but one of the things we'll have to approve is the adjustments in the expenses. So they're not exact. So we're gonna do two things when we do this appropriations budget. We're going to amend for actual expenses for fiscal year 22, and then we're gonna approve the expenses for fiscal year 23
As an estimate.
as an estimate. Now, I'm gonna do this quarterly from here on out. So if we get new grants, they'll go on here, we will amend the appropriations budget, and we'll move on. So that we don't get to the end and it's just really wonky. So that number, that 214, is here under operations. And that is where that number lies. What you see here on the top, it's all the state funds that come in. The second one are all the federal funds that come in. The third one are contributions from local units. So that would be things like,
Is that
why does that?
from
not-
the
why
county
does that not say
commission?
100,000?
That's what I was kind of wondering, because that's
There
what
must
we
be
get
a-
Ottawa County.
All right, I gotta fix that. That's Ottawa County. I have everything carrying over, maybe I have a formula wrong. Okay. Then we have charges for services. Those are all our things like our subcontracts, like we do with the McIntyre Area Coordinating Council, or I think it's the only one we have right now. But if we were being paid by anybody else to do work, that's where it goes. Then you see interest, you see tree sale, and it estimates what our total revenue will be.
So a quick question, and this may end up being more of a question for Doug, but I see on the interest, the projected was 300, the actual is only 75. That either of those numbers seem like slightly on the low end for the quantity of revenue we have.
It doesn't stay in our savings account very long.
No.
And
Okay.
my
There's never a
guess,
lot there.
It's like
Okay.
pull $3-4. And then when I
Okay.
see that 150, I'm like,
maybe, I know, so the last year I really guessed. That's actually what we have made.
Okay.
I'm hoping interest rates go up and keep a little more in there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Rates
we don't
probably-
really make,
Where do we
I can
bank
show it to
through?
you.
Chase,
Chase.
Gotcha. Have we ever like compared or what it would look like to?
We don't have investments in that. And right now, we have our checking with Chase.
Mhm.
And we get so many withdrawals and transfers a month.
Mhm.
She does everything, all her bill paying, everything through
Mhm.
there. We've done it. I'll say we got a little bit of a rapport with them guys, but now with the new regulations, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Uh,
Because I'm wondering if we've ever considered
We don't
going
have
to like a
investments.
credit union, for example.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, Lake Michigan Credit Union is the only one I can really speak to directly, but like they have, you know, an interest-bearing checking account that's 3%. And so some of the credit unions have products that are available that aren't necessarily available at the big banks. And then we're also keeping our money local. And there are several credit unions we could compare what things are available. So I've just wondered if that's ever been something we have looked into, and if we think it would be worthwhile to even research.
We never had the dollar,
Never, yeah.
never had the
Business
dollar
to do.
amounts. We
Mhm.
handle a lot of money,
Right,
but it's here, or it's
Mhm.
kind of just in time banking,
right.
we know we got a payment next week.
In
so
and out.
we get it
Yeah,
in, we get it out.
does.
So
Mhm.
yes, it
It
looks
does.
like, we've got $250,000, all this.
Well,
but
I mean,
it's
obviously,
never-
I
it's
know that's
never
not the
set in
balance,
somewhere at any one given time. So we've never had that problem before.
Right.
I've never had, typically the balance of my checking is $1,500.
Okay.
Because I only have them transfer when I have to pay.
Mhm.
Is it right down to the
Well, if
penny?
they had
I
an
do, I keep it at
interest-bearing
1,500.
checking account that paid more than the savings account, so I'm saying maybe there might be some other
Right.
products that that haven't been available in the past or something like that. So just
It's
just throwing it out there.
We ever had an issue though, I think. Realized in the past, but never had an issue with Chase,
Mhm.
except now for want for love to.
change the signer.
Put it signer.
And I know like changing financial accounts is like a headache and a half. And so if it was only, if it's only gonna make a marginal difference, it's probably not worthwhile.
I don't think it's gonna make $100 a year. I mean, theoretically, I mean, if they
It's
double
not
their
worth
interest,
Going through all that change.
it's not gonna make, not gonna move the needle that
yet.
much.
Not yet, but I do hope that we start to see more of a balance.
Right.
And we would have had a little bit more if we didn't buy trucks. So we are gaining those
Or you
things.
taking on programs.
Mhm. We will have more grants coming in here because we are applying, so this
Yeah.
will change. But this
Yeah.
is where we're at today.
Okay.
And then you see this new guy that I've started for you, mostly for Doug. The streams of income. So one of the things that, I like to show you is how much do we have in the bank account jointly right now? And then what am I bringing in and what am I coming out? What are we gonna end up with? Just because we say we have this close the door fund, that's not what's in our account. So this has really helped me, and hopefully it's gonna help Doug too. See where we'll be. We'll end up this month relatively low. We'll be somewhere around $6,000 to $11,000 if everything works out the way it's supposed to. But then the following month, everything gets refilled. But it helps me know that I can make payroll, that, Doug doesn't worry that,
Pay the credit card
I
on
didn't
time.
pay the credit card, yeah, all that. So this is helpful and it's really given us another tool in our toolbox. So that's what this guy is. Then you have your balance sheet and your profit and loss. So these guys. This is up until your profit and loss has a negative number. And again, that is because I haven't done any reimbursement, so we are in the negative. And it shows you what we brought in year to date in each program and what we spent year to date in each program. So that gives you a snapshot in time. Again, October will be a really nice point in time for us to get a clear picture. So that will be helpful. But that's why I do the grant spreadsheet, so you can see close the door funds, because this can feel uncomfortable when you see a negative 130,000.
How big of an issue would it be to lay a couple years side by side so you can see where some of the stuff trends?
I can absolutely do that. Yes, it's not an issue at all. It's a button. I can tell you last year when we ended the year, we had $128,000 is what we ended up pocketing. We had some grants closed though, and when grants closed, we get all our indirect.
Okay.
So that's always nice.
Yeah, this is gonna be our.
Not bad. We'll probably, I anticipate somewhere around 40 to 50,000 that we're gonna end up with.
All stuff.
Yes. And then, of course, you have your reconciliations, your savings, your checking. So this is all the bills that we paid, payroll, all that jazz. So you can take a look at that. That's what these are.
That's for my spare time reading.
That's for your spare time, yeah. But it's all there, so I need a.
You need a
to pay
motion
bills.
to pay the bills. All those in favor of paying the bills? Say aye.
We got a motion first.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That would be better.
Treasurer.
I'll know, I'll make the motion this time.
I'll second the motion, to pay the bills.
Anybody offended if we shut the windows?
No, actually, I opened it earlier because it was so stuffy in here.
All those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Pay the bills.
So before we do this, I
What's this?
need you guys, before we actually approve our Appropriations Act, I need you guys to
Well-
talk about wages.
yeah, I was gonna say, we're jumping ahead. We're
Hang
got
on, hang on.
financial
What-
committee report in the way.
Let's,
Oh, yeah, I am wages.
Yeah.
Sorry.
we're getting ahead, let's, the things that we need a motion and vote on, let's put the motion on the floor first.
Mhm.
Go into a discussion about it,
Mhm.
instead of, we're kind of
Okay.
loading the horse from the cart type of
Okay.
thing here, so which we do next?
Is
the
there a
executive-
financial committee report or was that the financial committee report?
Well, I wasn't quite sure how to set this up. So I didn't know if you guys wanted to give, if you and Matt wanted to give any kind of like report from, it was 2 months ago, so I don't
Yep.
know that we need to. Because the two pieces, what you guys had as a range of wage, and then what you guys decided on, they felt like they went together, and I just didn't know if you guys wanted to say a few pieces, or if you
Oh,
don't.
I'll talk.
And then to go on to the next, if you don't have anything to say, we can just, there's nothing to report. So it's up to you guys.
I guess the short skinny of it would be that we discussed what the cost of living increase was
Mhm.
Right.
and what our budget really allowed us to do, and that's therefore we come around and come up with the wage number that we did. I mean,
But-
do you need any more explanation than,
Well, there
When
was
did
a-
this happen? You guys had a meeting?
we had a meeting like,
We're 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Financial committee and we did on everything and her wages were one of them. The only thing that you and I got misled at the time was if you look on here, when we were looking, it was Megan's total gross wages with fringe.
Mhm. Is that
When
72
Rivka and I
5
went
number,
back
right?
through it, because when we did it, we thought she was making $70,000
Mhm.
as a wage, not with benefits, wage.
Mhm.
She wasn't. What are you, 62?
Cause of my fringe
Yeah.
is
She put-
wage, so that,
She included all the fringe in there, so that's not her wage.
but I do make the retirement stipend and health.
Yeah, but so does everybody else, so.
But that's their wage too, and that's what I did put
But-
in
Well,
here.
that,
Yeah,
that was
I
part of
know.
my question.
That
I-
was Tim's question.
Yeah.
So this is
So
actually
let's
what
go
I,
back to yours then. This is what the district pays you? This is the 390, so this
No,
is,
that's all
that's,
with fringe.
that's with
yeah,
fringe. but
this
that's
is what
I
it costs the
cost.
district, but this is not what you take home.
Correct.
No,
So what do you take home out of this? That's my
This
question.
number here, this 731444,
Gotcha.
that's what I took. home. So I do make that money. So what I do
I
is
thought it was when you, Rivka and I talked, it was like 60-some thousand.
that is what my, my
That's
dollar
what's-
wage is. That is what my dollar wage is the
Well, that's what I
62.
wanna know what it is, dollar wages.
But I still bring, but I can't, I didn't,
You can't
It's
count,
just in a different, it's in a different,
this, but the retirement and the,
First,
and the
you can't count
healthcare is
re-
still. Okay,
It's not your wages.
okay,
no,
well then I
when
wasn't
you
paying myself
offer one
right.
of these guys
No,
over
you're not.
here.
That's the.
When you
this
offer
is-
these guys over here, say $20 an hour,
Yeah,
that's $20 an
But
hour
they
plus
also
all
make-
the benefits.
no,
no, it's not.
it's
It's
not.
$20 an hour and then 10% of that on top of that is benefits.
Right,
Okay,
that's
but
what
that's what
you
we're,
just
I
said.
just said.
Yeah, and then you gotta take the
But
taxes
that's
out
on
of the
top of
20
it.
bucks an hour too.
Well, that doesn't matter. So let's say,
Wanna
Let's
know
say
what you take,
Undercutting yourself, Megan, is the
this
bottom
is,
line.
Okay, so what did the
Cut to the
HR
chase.
committee come up with?
okay, I'm gonna let.
Okay.
Rivka talk.
So the HR committee, basically, we recognize that Megan is doing an excellent job overall. And, not to like jump ahead to personnel evaluations, but, we felt like it was really important to bring her wages more in line with at least the median, wages that
Okay,
are,
just a second, are we discussing the director's wage?
yeah.
So we need a motion to discuss the director's
I'll
wage.
make a motion to discuss the.
You wanna make a motion of, to accept what our paper says? The motion needs to say what we're going to pay Megan, and then we will discuss that wage number.
There's not a
so
number on. it.
confusing.
How
No,
can you, how
that's
can you
what
make a
we're-
motion and then discuss it?
Presenting.
Well, you have,
Right.
you have to present a motion. Parliamentary procedure says you gotta put, you can't discuss nothing unless you have a motion on the floor. So we put a motion on the floor, and then we can discuss the number. You know,
And then
if
you
we,
can amend it.
we
plus or
can,
minus.
well, we can make a motion to pay Megan $16 an hour.
You make the
And then
motion.
open for discussion, and then if,
Okay.
and during the discussion,
got
if
the
we
number.
come up with
Here.
more than
Let
$16
me,
an
tell me if
hour,
that's the right
then
number.
yes, we amend our
Before I make a motion
and
about
vote.
it.
So, I'm sorry, but that's the political, parliamentary procedure
Yes,
to do it.
Okay.
I would like to get
But-
into that habit. We've been very laxed in that.
We can
so-
discuss where that,
that-
So the motion
it
on the
ain't
floor
the
is
83.
what, and who made it? I need a motion so we can discuss whatever you want to discuss next.
I did make the motion, but you want a dollar amount, right?
Well, what's your motion for?
To discuss Megan's wages,
Yeah,
wage increase.
Isn't there a number there that what you discussed and how you come up with it? Because we're gonna vote
One
on it.
number, but the second one ain't looking right.
okay.
So
Say whatever,
in that
as long as
motion-
that's, the floor, anything above that, I'm fine with.
Okay, we're making a motion. Made Megan's salary, I'm gonna say salary, to be increased 15%.
Yes.
Okay, So is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Is there any discussion? Now we can go.
Okay. Can I? have my
Sorry to
finger
go a
back?
long way
Sorry.
around, but I think we need to get into that.
Yeah.
So, for other reasons, I mean.
I want
for
to say
other-
something, because Matt and
Yeah.
I talked.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Matt and I talked, we had a wage of what administrators and people
Mhm,
that make, and in the middle of them wages was $80,000,
mhm.
right?
Yes,
So Matt put in the budget for like 85. Didn't matter where we come up with, that's what got thrown in our budget.
Mhm.
So Rivka and I talked to Megan,
Mhm.
and her wage, and I don't know this 100%, salary was like $62,000. What I have in my head.
Yes,
Mhm.
except that,
Don't go into all this
So,
other
no,
stuff.
we just want your base
that's what my
salary.
hourly
Salary.
rate is.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that is without,
So we were
Retirement
gonna
without
give
healthcare.
her a 15% increase. She might figure it out. To put her like in the low 70s, and it wasn't in the 85, range, it was in the low 70s.
yes. 15% increase is, I'm assuming that's the number you're going for.
10,000.
Yeah, so that's $10,350, assuming that that
70,
was what,
72,
62?
73.
I think that's what it just put in. Let me rerun it again. one more time. If it's is it 69 or 62?
I don't have my notes. or anything.
Can you find that out?
Yeah, she's gonna tell us what that is.
What went on?
so the problem is, if I look at my wage, I see it with the health care and retirement.
Okay,
Although,
it out.
wait, no, I know how to figure it out.
okay.
Well, this is
Just give me 2
factored on
seconds.
69. Regardless, my recommendation is that we raise her salary by $10,350. So even if she's at 62, then,
To what, I mean, can't we come up, I mean, should we not know the number?
Yeah, we should
well,
have
that's what
enough.
we're
Before we-
trying
Before we
to
vote on it.
figure it out. Just because we wanted to, we all kind of,
Put her
I-
close
I-
to the range so we don't lose. her.
yeah, we want to put her a lot closer to the median range because I think she provides a lot better than median in performance, first of all. Second of all, the 10% cost of living that we had discussed across the board with an additional raise, because she definitely should have,
And we just
Have a
put down
raise.
2 more grants.
as she's.
So that number is what?
Okay, here, I don't have my big
Well, I
calculator.
mean,
Okay, so
The HR committee should
here's-
have a number
here's what I make
that they said, this is what
without
we wanna pay.
retirement, I
You
make
did.
Okay,
Okay,
$64,729.60.
what is that
64.
64,
And then
7.
when I
29.
add in the retirement and stipend, healthcare stipend, that's when it gets to that 72.
All
range.
that changes.
So if I go by
64, 7
that-
times your 15%.
Right, which is,
I think you can just push the plus button, equals can.
I know, but I
Yeah.
just want to make sure I'm
Right.
Times
clear.
it by
I thought it was
1.15 again.
62 something.
that didn't
No,
do what
didn't
I
do it.
wanted.
So that adds
I
9,000 to
can
it,
do it. 64. Wow.
What was, can you give me that first number again really quick?
64,729.60.
64, 7. Okay, it doesn't make really a whole bunch of difference what she made. It's what are the number you're gonna put her
So what
at,
we're,
correct?
yeah, so basically, the exact number is 74, 469.33, but I would recommend just making it a flat 75. And that is before fringe. So fringe is on top of that, which fringe is what will bring her closer to that median wage. So that provides for a cost of living increase, a 5% raise, as well as when her fringe is added in, brings her much closer to adequate compensation for the role that she's performing.
So how did our motion read? Our motion didn't have a number, did it not,
No.
Lexi?
No, but it has a number now. We can make a new motion, right?
Yeah, 50%.
So the maker of the motion needs to amend it to read this number.
So what you need to say is that we would like to make a motion to raise
I'd like to amend the
Megan's
motion to
wage
put the wage
to
at,
75,000 base plus fringe.
Okay, so is that just a separate motion? That's
Um,
an amended motion?
amended, so. Oh, you're gonna tax my parliamentary thoughts here. We need to,
This
we
is what
need
pay
to
the big
vote,
bucks format.
we need to vote on the motion as amended. Well, someone's gonna call in and tell me I'm doing this wrong, but we need to vote on the motion as amended. And that is the
So,
new
Is
motion.
that like a different, how do I write
Tell you what,
that?
the maker of the motion can rescind his motion and we make a new
Okay.
motion. Doug, would you like to rescind your original motion? Yes, you would.
We gotta vote on that?
I'll rescind my motion.
All right, and he's gonna make it,
Alright, hold
I'm,
on 1 second. Doug rescinds
original motion,
the original motion. Okay,
and now he wants to make a new one. I'm sure he does, with the number of 70.
I'm
Or
gonna
I
make,
can make a
I'm
new
gonna
motion
make a
too, that's fine.
motion. You can say.
See, this is why, what I wanted you to make in the first motion should have been
I
this
thought
number,
somebody had the right numbers down.
so.
I thought so. too.
So Doug's motion
So-
now is,
To make Megan's base salary 75,000 a year. Plus fringe benefits.
is there support?
Yes, I support.
Is there discussion? Seeing as how there is none, we can vote on that. Doug, how do you vote?
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, now,
Doug, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim?
Let's see.
Yeah, you can.
Illegal.
It is legal. I wish you wouldn't have, but- Rivka, how do you vote?
Yes.
You know, I have to vote.
You wanna have a discussion?
No, we've discussed this thing to our blue in the face. I vote yes.
All right, Megan, you're
Motion-
getting a
motion
raise.
carries.
Yeah, motion carries.
Thank you. I am,
I hope the other ones go a lot smoother.
Right?
we're all done.
Okay, we're up to appropriation budgets, correct?
Yes, and I just have to fix the numbers, you guys, in 2 seconds, because that appropriation budget you
All
have.
kinds of numbers getting fixed
So there's my
tonight.
Question in interim,
I gotta put that in
why
here,
are we
so,
dealing with hers and not everybody's?
because I already made those
Well,
decisions.
Well, I wanna do one
I
more
did
thing
15%
too.
for all of my staff.
We did discuss Lexi,
Mhm.
and Lexi's gonna be reviewed 90 days after she comes back from maternity leave.
Yeah.
You've probably been told that,
She
right?
hasn't yet, because we.
Oh,
haven't-
well.
Okay.
Oh,
We just did.
Lexi.
yeah, hey, we have a car.
We're pending here.
But everyone
review.
else got 15%.
Yeah.
So what you see in that
Yeah.
is a reflection of the same thing that you guys decided. I just decided it because it's all in grant budget.
And
Yeah,
Lexi, that
everything's-
Yeah,
was
it's
not
grant
because we
paid.
don't value you or think that you're doing a great job.
We're
It's
just gonna
just because we
reevaluate. your role.
Already, like, funding had been set for your maternity leave period and all of that stuff was already predetermined. So we felt like we would be able to provide a more fair assessment. And who knows, maybe by then we'll have some magical new grant that we can
Yeah.
like come up with a whole new
I've already
plan.
been thinking what I would like to write wages into a grant for. So that's
Yeah,
just fine.
exactly. So, rather than evaluate and then
You have a
have to
budget
come back
number
to
yet?
it, that was our thought
I'm
process.
printing it.
You
But
can
you're
just-
doing a great job.
You can just tell me.
Yeah, there's no question there.
Yeah.
You know that.
Okay, so then I have to just change this by 10,000. So now, I'm gonna change our,
You wanna walk away from her?
oh, my computer's just not working to
Functioning.
me. Shut this off.
Yeah, I was trying to work off hotspot.
Not cool, is it?
On weekends up there, you can get nothing, there's so many people using cell phones.
dead airspace.
Mhm.
Now
Our
there's
viewing
cars.
public is really gonna be upset with us. Do we have anybody watching?
Oh,
No?
Oh,
Is-
We're purely for
Boring.
recording purposes tonight.
Does
It
anybody
says
ever watch?
it says
From our
participant
staff
one.
sometimes.
which is us.
That's just
Typically,
us.
Yeah.
Julie
One
will
is-
watch and
one
Natalie
is
will
good.
watch. Okay, I changed it. I have to change that at the bottom. I'm gonna pre-print our appropriations budget to account for that. And then we can vote on it and sign. And I also have my work agreement printed.
So we need a motion to approve the appropriations budget.
I make a motion to approve the appropriation budget.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Hmm.
What is the appropriate, she got a number? I mean, as printed, how are we going with that?
I think she's printing off a new.
Yeah.
Adjusted version.
Yes, on the finance committee with a guy who's got a gold spoon in his mouth and everything, and then the guy who's got plastic fork. And then try to come up in the middle with this. That's why the
Gold
meeting took-
spoon,
That's,
right?
that's why, no, you're in a.
Diamond
Nobody
encrusted.
gave me
You're-
nothing
you're-
in my whole life. I earned every dime I got.
I didn't say you
just like
didn't
she
earn it.
is.
I didn't say you didn't earn it. I'm not saying she isn't worth it, but you're in a different world.
Sphere.
Than what I'm in, and I've
Mhm.
Okay,
struggled,
let me ask you this.
I've struggled
I'm
with
gonna
that ever
ask
since
Tim
I
this.
came in here. I mean, when I
How
come in here.
much do you pay a herdsman?
I don't have one. I'm
Okay,
doing it
how much-
myself and I
okay.
take home 55,000 a year.
No, but how much would you pay your fund?
I know herdsmen that are making 80 to 90.
Mhm.
So,
So you need to pay
So-
yourself more is the bottom line.
Yeah, no.
Where are you gonna get it from?
yeah,
That
but
blood
you also
turnip
look
thing.
at too, is look at your investment.
I get that. That's a different
Mhm.
subject.
Huge, huge different subject. I
Mhm.
mean, you're just putting,
You're gonna
you're
do
investing your money.
Sign it yourself. Type, correct? All right, so what does,
Okay, so
our
in
number
this,
look like for appropriation?
in this budget, what it contains is, our resolution for how we're appropriating our funds this next following fiscal year. We're adopting the budget by activity, so per each, grant activity. It also states that we, how we pay our bills. So we pay our bills monthly with approval of the board. If bills come up in between our board meetings that need to be paid and approved, that is something that the treasurer can recommend and then inform the board of after the fact. Then you have, in the second section, or the section 6, it talks about the board per diem. Then it has executive director salary, administrative specialist salary, meat tech, West Michigan coordinator, invasive species specialist, all of our staff, West Michigan crew leader, crew members, watershed tech 1, watershed tech 2, our 3 forest pest technicians, our two other forest pest technicians, our soil conservation tech, our RCPP project manager, and our produce safety technician. Then you see the actual budget where it spells out our state, federal funds, contributions from local unit. As well as all the activities and the funds that will be expensed out of them, leaving with our ending fund balance at $267,437.96. And I think for the first time, we are pretty darn close because our closed door funds reflect almost identical to the appropriation budget. And that took me years to get to.
Good.
So that's kind of cool. There's some formal language here, so let me read it. The board adoption motion needs to be made. So we need to have a motion from the board to adopt this budget, to adopt the final budget of the fiscal year 23 appropriation.
That's what we have, right?
Motion to approve the
Yes.
appropriation.
Okay, who made that motion?
I did. And you adjusted this with the updated ED salary, correct?
Yes.
Tim second that if you need that. Right?
I did.
Doug did?
Doug did, Doug did.
And then we need a roll call.
We were getting there. Are you done with your legal?
Mhm.
Tim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rivka,
Yes.
Doug, Doug, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes.
And then any nays?
No nays. Everybody here voted. So do I gotta ask for nays? Alright,
And then I need you to sign for me on this one.
This is new legal stuff.
It's our appropriation budget. It just, this is what I
Kind of a-
submit to
kind of a
MDOT.
biggie. And then I can sign all these
Work agreements.
work agreements.
Mhm.
You have one here with Dave Kyle's name on it instead of my name, which, I mean, it's
But I fixed them all.
Kyle's.
Okay. Let's cross it out right now.
Alright, I figured that's what I needed to do. You should tell me, it's in that pile somewhere. But I think I have them all signed. Tell me if I don't. All right, we're going a little long, so we're gonna kick her in.
I get it.
No,
Any big updates on grants?
Everything's still very much so the same, but this next month is going to be, we're gonna be really heavily into grants, so.
Good.
It is grant writing season, and we'll be writing a 319 for the Pigeon River, maybe some other watersheds. We've got some invasive species grants coming down the way, and those will need to be written and submitted in October. So.
pending, pairing, and executing. Did you just go over all that?
So executing, all of our non-competitive grants are the ones that we are executing right now. So what you'll see is MEEP, and you saw it in your packet. You saw produce safety in your packet. You saw our state operations budget and our grant in your packet, as well as our new, as our NACD technical assistance 2023 in your packet. Those are going to be emailed to you, Matt, the same way that that first produce safety one was.
Oh, so I gotta sign and get
Uh-huh.
to you or get back to them?
You'll sign it and it'll go to them, but print it for me, because
Okay.
that's the stupidest thing. They don't print them for me, and I need it for my audit. I
Right.
need it. I don't need, they don't give me the numbers.
Do
Anyway,
you get it when I get it? Do you get CC'd on it? Okay.
Jack emails me and says, "Hey, Megan, tell Matt he's getting an email." So I will tell you.
Yeah.
And
Can't push the button with your name on it, but he can call you.
this is the best way I know how to present it to you, so the board can then vote on these continuous budgets. I don't even know if you have to vote on them, but it seems right.
Sign Kyle's, and then that was one that I. These I need.
I just didn't have that last one signed.
Did you get all the stuff that was getting passed around for the farmer? thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
116.
so-
But that one
okay.
didn't get
There was
signed.
one more here. I just give it to you a few minutes.
I think it went back on this.
Okay.
file.
I just want to make sure you got them all.
And then the last piece was the policy information. Pam had sent me some drafts of, after, our last meeting.
Can we put this in a motion before we discuss?
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry, I hate to be Debbie Downer. but
Be a Debbie Downer.
We need a motion to discuss this presentation. That was all in your packet. I'm hoping you had time to read it and go over it.
Mhm.
So is there a motion to
I make
discuss?
a
it?
motion to review the policy recommendations made by Pam Evans.
Is there support?
Sure.
Any discussion?
So I had
Also,
just
we're okay with it.
provided them in your packet for you guys to review. I thought they were well done. It's too bad we have to have a majority vote policy. That's unfortunate, because I think that should be just known, but I think then now we could maybe, I just want to put them out there. You guys decide how you wanna move forward, but I'm hoping that we can find a resolution at some point.
Did you ask Pam to write these, or did she just, after sitting through the last fiasco, did she say, wow, you guys
Need
She,
these.
might need some help here?
She asked me if I would like her to write them after sitting through that last meeting.
Tantrum.
I didn't say, can you fix this, anything like that. But she said that she has worked on some policies that might be helpful. And so that's what she sent. And that's where I got those from. And then that last one, those pre-written statements, those were what we put together last November when we had a lot of issues back.
Same thing,
Same type of stuff,
same deal.
except it was,
Demands.
except it was a public meeting. It wasn't a presentation. And so at that time, we never really had any, a vote. There was no like resolution of any sort. It was all a lot of talk and arguing. But what we did end up with were just these statements. So.
But was it a policy or was it just talk
It
again?
wasn't, it was
No,
So
it
it
just.
was
was
talk.
never
voted
voted,
on.
it was never voted on?
I-
So if you voted on it, it had to been
Do you think
policy,
I
it's
so.
don't
voted
think
on?
I
so.
don't remember.
I don't think it was voted
I-
on. I don't
Well,
have it
then
in
it's-
policy.
No, because we
Then it's
talked about
mute,
it.
It's
you know,
just, it was just things that since we couldn't get to a bottom line, and I didn't think we could
I thought
stop
that
the
was in
work.
that whole list of demands that we went down to like. and that was it.
The only policies we did were those two vote policy. I mean, this was suggestions, and so I put it together so Dave
The
could
two
present
vote thing is
it.
the only thing that passed.
Yeah,
Okay, so it is.
it was
went
just
through
suggestions, and it
Dave,
was the only
yeah.
thing we could get.
is
Dave-
there
Dave allowed
anybody,
it.
is there anybody, again, in the essence of time, is there anybody who has big issues with the way this policy is written? That Pam put together?
I thought it was very helpful. I thought it really provided us a way forward on our goal of outreach and education. And that centered the goals of the district. And I thought that was really helpful to say, present, these are the places that I feel like would be good for us to do outreach, have an agreement about the best way to move forward with outreach to those places. I thought that was incredibly helpful and a good guide, and would be comfortable accepting it as written, but we could also work on further amending it.
Both public presentation, activity guideline and majority vote policy, or are we talking one or the other?
I'm not sure I'm remembering. Do you have the majority vote policy in front of you?
need a
He
second to
can,
read
yeah,
that?
let me review.
Tim,
one
what's
second.
your comments?
My question is, if it passes, how do you enforce it or who
Yeah.
enforces it?
It's the chairman.
We,
Well, and that's what
were
the
talking.
majority vote policy is. It's saying that if it passes and any of us don't decide to follow it, then the chairman does have the ability to ask that individual to resign. Now, that does not mean that they have to. I mean, we are stuck in that. Like, there is that piece that there's only so much we can do.
Well, you can,
But it
Next
does
step.
make it official. It does have it in writing. This
Yeah.
is one of those things I feel like is already an unsaid policy. Boards make decisions on a community basis in general.
I'm
This is
amazed
just-
after 30 years that you have to tell an adult this is how a board works. Amazed.
I-
Utterly
I
amazed.
get all that and I support all that.
Can I see the other one real quick too?
In light of the fact that she's not here and can't speak up, can we table it the next meeting?
Absolutely not. She made that decision not to
She-
come here.
she
because
knew
it
was coming.
upset.
yeah.
I think this only made it, if she wanted to come talk about
need
this,
to
she
finish
should have
this
sat
one.
down as a
If it was
professional
important to her.
and
Well,
talked about it.
I'm sorry, I got an
She-
email and
okay,
I'm sorry,
so-
I didn't look, but was it CC'd to all of you? Or
Yes,
did
it was.
Okay.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
it was.
So
yeah.
everybody's seen the, I don't care, I'm gonna do what I want anyway,
Yeah.
unless I agree to it, then we don't talk about it. I mean, again,
Well,
was a
and
total,
the main point is not. We are all here to support the mission of the conservation district, not the other way around.
correct.
Correct.
So that needs to be kept central, and
I agree.
I think that's really important. I think this provides a great way to do it. I think, I know that she, in that email, requested that the conversation be tabled. However, we as board members also make a commitment to be here and participate in, I think it's a sacrifice for each one of us. Doug could be on vacation. I could, like there's always things that are going to come up, and it's a matter of what are we going to prioritize. And that's a choice we each make about what is important to us. So I don't think it, in general, not even related to this specific thing, I don't think in general, it's a good policy to pen conversations on important matters for any individual board member's absence, because we have to set the tone that we're gonna continue to move forward with organization business in a way that is in the best interest of the district. It's not in the best interest of the district to pen conversations based on individuals' schedules.
We're here to make a
So do you
decision.
want to table this or do you want to vote on it tonight? I guess I'm I'm not
I
reading
would
what you're saying.
vote on it. I wouldn't pen it.
I wouldn't kind of-
No.
Are we gonna keep them both together? Or do we need to separate
I
them
think
out?
They're separate things.
Mhm.
Hold it.
They're separate. They're two separate policies.
I think it would be
You-
valuable to have a vote on the record for each one individually.
So, how's our motion read, Lexi?
Our motion is to review the policies. So
Yeah.
if you're actually adopting them.
So we can make a new
Okay, so-
motion to. for
Adopting them as written by Pam Evans.
Public presentation and majority vote.
Okay,
policy.
she said both policies. That's why I asked.
But-
I understood they were together, but if we want to separate them, then we need to.
Have
I
a
think
different.
she
Right.
needs to write it
We
like
just
this.
made a motion to discuss them, so now I think we can make a separate motion on each individual policy to vote on it.
That it?
I'm trying to figure out how to back out of that motion, because you gotta have a vote to
So I have a
Oh.
motion to
Finalize the-
review both of the
Got-
policies.
the
Gotcha.
motion that we made, and that's why they were together in the motion. That's why I'm trying
No,
to.
'cause that wasn't the motion.
Yeah.
So now the motion,
We got.
So can we just can we vote then? Because the motion to discuss, we just did discuss. So we vote to vote on,
No, because.
or do you just want me to
well,
rescind my motion? I don't know. Is that what you meant?
I think we need to write the policies in there.
Like, just say,
Okay,
Policies have
again,
to
my
be
question
written.
is there, okay, we discussed the public presentation and outreach
Mhm.
activity guideline.
Mhm.
Do we need to discuss the majority vote policy? Does anybody have a problem with the way the majority vote policy is written from Pam? So we don't have a problem with how that's written, and we don't have a problem with how the other, so we can go ahead and vote on the both of them together. Because none of us have any objection to
Well,
how
you-
they're written.
No, but you might vote different.
Yeah, that's true.
so then you make a motion to
Um,
vote on and then say one of the policies and we go from there.
Can we have two votes? relative
Yeah,
to
we
the
can,
motion?
but I'm trying to
A vote
figure the
A and a vote
parliamentary
B.
procedure to get out of
That's
that.
real simple, just have a vote to do this one, and then you vote and get done with it.
There's a
and then you-
motion on the floor, so we gotta get rid of that motion. We motion to
Review the
accept
pol-
them.
Yeah,
I mean, theoretically, the motion was to accept them as written by Pam.
Well,
and
I
now we
mean,
wanna
that's
split
not
them.
So have the
we made.
motion
We
to
made a
accept the
motion to
first one as written by
discuss.
Pam and
Which we
vote
did.
on
That's
it.
fine.
and then do the next.
I don't know.
you're gonna have to put the whole thing in the minutes, right? What what we're voting on,
Mhm.
so it's policy. Let's.
All right.
Later.
Lexi, this is, we're gonna strike them, that motion that's there. I don't know how to back out of that one. So, all right. So if we can just delete that motion. I guess we gotta go back out of this. So we need a motion to
So the
discuss,
only,
we need a motion to accept the public presentation, education outreach activities guideline.
okay,
So if we can
I
have a
make that
motion
motion.
to accept that.
I will. Be the sacrificial lamb. I make a motion, don't put that. in. I will make a motion to accept the public presentations, education and outreach activities guidelines as presented by
Pam
Pam
Evans.
Evans, then we can discuss and
Is
see if there's
there a
any
second?
changes.
Yes. All right, is there any discussion? I think we discussed, do we need any more discussion on that?
The only thing, there are just a couple small things that might be helpful to clarify, like it says an annual evaluation will be conducted of education and outreach activities and shared. Who is doing that annual evaluation, right? Is that HR committee? Is that the executive director? Is that the
question.
secretary.
Mhm.
So I think there's small things like that in order to implement this
Education.
that we need to determine.
You? Would be the best for education.
What would happen if we had HR along with director
Okay,
to come together with that?
Alright.
'Cause she's in the
Yeah.
trenches and you guys can
And then
have
it
the
doesn't put
outside.
it, it doesn't
doesn't
make it
put it
fall
on
on
me.
me.
Yeah,
Right.
I would rather
Right,
I'd
yeah,
have
rather
then-
board
fall on the
involvement.
committee.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And
Okay.
I would pick a, I mean, HR is just like one of the only committees. We only have two committees. So
Yep.
Right.
if we
Well, no,
had a
we have
marketing
three. We
committee,
have
Well-
three. We have legislative.
oh, legislative, maybe we should
But
put it
they
under
don't have- but they
legislative.
don't have anything anyway.
I mean, if
So-
we had a marketing committee, that would be
a
what it
good
would
spot for it.
follow under, but we don't technically right now.
Mhm.
So will be conducted by the HR committee. Is that what we're
Yes,
deciding?
and office and director
And reviewed by,
together with
okay,
HR committee and
sure,
district director,
executive.
executive director, sorry.
okay.
Are we getting that for the minutes, Lexi?
Yep.
Thank you.
Another point of clarification here, number 5, templated presentations and handouts will be developed and used for outreach activities. Who's doing that development? Are we gonna say the staff member that's responsible for that
Well, and I think,
area?
yes, because any of these outreach events,
Mhm.
it's written into almost every one of my staff members to do outreach and education. So they would be the
Mhm.
ones that put together presentations.
Yeah,
And they would be then reviewed by us or by the internal committee that is working
Mhm.
on them. So I would say,
Okay, they
yeah,
have
staff.
time?
Oh, it's part of their job,
Okay.
100%.
All right.
Yeah,
And my staff would love to go on all of these
Yep.
things. I mean,
Okay.
we have, that's what our job is. So
Right.
if there is a good place for us to be involved,
Mhm.
we'll almost never say no.
And I think, that's where the board should be making those connections.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
with the Citizens Climate Lobby, saying,
Yes.
here's an opportunity for us to get in front of people. Now
Mhm.
let's, like, to me, that's where I see our role as board members, if it makes sense for us to co-present because we have additional value that we're
Yeah.
bringing, fine, but that unless there's an added value to us being the presenting individual. So we'll amend this to say templated presentations and handouts will be developed by staff members relevant to the topic area. Presentations customized as needed, the rest of that seems fine. A list of community organizations and target audiences will be developed and reviewed. Developed by whom? This is where I feel like the board could step in. Be developed by board members, that we could come with recommendations as board members to
Well, like,
say,
okay,
here are
let-
places
I
we
think it
think
goes
we
back to
could
that threesome, the
target.
HR and executive
Or,
director.
I mean, like, for example,
This is why we need a
if-
marketing committee,
if-
by the way, y'all.
yeah, this does have to make sense. But like if Kelly had said, okay, I would like to do a presentation at Coopersville
Mhm.
Library and
Right.
Georgetown Library.
Right.
Do we need to have like a list made at the beginning of the year? Can that just be something that's brought then the month before and we can vote and say, those are great
Mhm,
areas for us to do that outreach? And then
mhm.
I would then find staff members that can fill those roles.
So maybe this whole first point should be changed to be like individual board members will bring target community organizations and target audiences. That recommendation will include the purpose for the presentation and how it aligns with district goals.
Mhm.
And then the board as a whole can vote on, yes, we agree with using organizational resources for this target.
So the
I
board votes
think
on
that's
wherever
better.
we go. And who-
Yes.
And who go, or
it's gonna be
theoretically,
a little much, ain't
Well, I'll just put it
it? I
as
think
a,
they're micromanaging.
well, no, because that's the stuff that you guys are bringing to us. So
Right.
it's not the stuff that like, so Sarah says, I want to do a presentation
Right.
at the farmer's market. That's not gonna come to you.
That's us as board members saying, hey, I have
I
a
have a place.
relationship with
Yes.
the rural caucus, or I have a relationship with Black River Public
Mhm.
Schools, or I have a relationship with this, State Farm,
Mhm.
or
And they've asked
Et
me
cetera.
to do ABC.
But aren't
Right.
you getting, okay, can I say something?
Yeah.
So as a board member here, I've kind of sat back and
Mhm.
these guys are ones that have developed this.
Mhm.
And all I do is give my opinion on a lot of stuff. And to go out and sit there and try to do outreach and, speaking events and stuff like that, and now we want them. Aren't we tearing them away from something they kind of, they have their schedules for the month, and then we're all of a sudden, now she's like, I gotta go do this for a board member.
Well, I think at
She's
that
gonna
point,
do it.
I think
but
at that point
it's-
though,
Well, that's
I could
part
say
of
if the
why voting
capacity
is-
is not there.
I think this threesome, this HR committee and.
You're gonna
exec-
stop saying threesome, Matt.
Well, this group, the group that we have overseeing can make that determinate. One, I mean, between the trio,
Mhm.
she go out, we just don't have the capacity this month because we're doing X.
Mhm.
And,
Right.
and like I say, you pull the trigger. I'm really
But
nervous.
typically, I mean, these guys have in almost all their work, they already have put together presentations. I mean,
Mhm.
they've been presenting on these topics all year. It's
Mhm.
really just about whether or not it fits in their schedule.
Mhm.
And they like doing it. I mean, that's part of the reason they do the work they do is because they are passionate about
Well,
it.
and that's what I've heard consistently, both
Mhm.
from Megan and the other staff, is that they like doing presentations, they
with
like
it.
being out in the community. And I think our best due diligence as board members is to, part of what we bring to the table, so to speak, as a board member, is our existing relationships, connections to the community, and leveraging those for the benefit of the district. And I think where it has kind of gotten off the rails is disconnecting those two pieces. Disconnecting board relationships and outreach from for the good of the district, from the idea that we should be working together as a group. So I don't really want to put the onus on our staff to be like, well, come up with, they're already kind of doing that for the things that make sense for them. I'm saying for us as board members, if we have an idea for an opportunity at the library, at wherever, this is where we would bring it in. And the key point of this is that we're bringing it to the board, number one, and number two, that we are including in our presentation to the board the purpose of the topic and how it aligns with our goals, because I think that helps keep us focused on that strategic plan and saying that doing a presentation to this organization would align with this strategic goal. If we don't want to, it's not like there's an obligation for any one of us to bring something to the table and be like, I think we need to do a presentation at Chase Bank. But if we're out in the community, we have a relationship, that conversation comes up. This provides a framework for us to bring that opportunity.
Okay, what's the organization that's gonna say when and who we do it and what we do? I mean, who's gonna make
Vote
that
of the-
call?
Vote by the board.
All right. All right. What else do we need to change?
So that's just to change, instead of a list of community organizations and target audiences will be developed, it'll just say board members may bring a list of community organizations and target audiences and include purpose of the presentation and how it connects to organization goals to be voted on. by
Are we
the
gonna do this
board.
monthly? Quarterly, annually? I mean,
Well, when
how's
we
this
go down,
working?
have one, at the very end of the thing, we'll just have, are there any education?
Yep.
Things,
Alright.
and then if there is one, it'll come
Okay.
up, if there isn't.
Yep.
None but be
Yep.
provided.
All right. Lexi, will you read this back to us so we know what we're voting on, please?
Well, it's this whole,
Oh, you got more?
well, no, it's
Just
just,
that whole thing, she's just amending.
I've just
amending.
been making notes on here.
Okay, so we're clear on who sets the guidelines of who, where, and when,
Mhm.
correct? That's in there, Lexi? Because this was pretty vague, the original one, so with
Yeah,
Rivka's
so
difference, with her amendments to it or her changes.
I have who is doing the annual evaluation of outreach staff, HR committee with input from the executive director, templated presentations, who will be doing that, the technician with professional expertise in that area. I have the points that you made about individual, I haven't seen these policies, so
Yeah,
I just
so
wrote
I'm
down what you said, but I don't.
we can type this up
Also,
really briefly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
She can.
We can type this up
Yep.
really quickly and
Let's just say
then,
Brooke has it written down. I don't
Yep.
quite have the time to go back through this whole recording.
yeah,
So
no,
you've got it
I
written down.
do.
I have it in the minutes and we can update whatever paper policies.
Mhm.
I just wanted the other one's voting on this to know what they're voting on.
Mhm.
So there was no questions later.
Mhm.
All right, are we ready to vote or do we still have changes to make?
Does anybody have any question about the changes that we already are making?
I guess you didn't want to vote on it.
I read through that, but I'll be honest, I don't remember it all, sure.
I can hand you this in just 2 seconds.
Yeah, that'd take.
All right, so if there is no more discussion, we will proceed to vote. Doug, how do you vote on this?
Yes.
Rivka,
Yes.
Yes.
passes. Majority policy vote.
I make a motion to accept the majority policy vote.
As written by Pam.
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, no changes.
Doug, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim? Rivka?
Yes.
Matt Hill, yes. Rewritten statements. What was that?
It's this right here.
I think you guys just wanted to have them on there. I don't know what
So
was.
this is
wanted
what's
to be done.
required to use, or this is a suggested use?
suggestion.
That was.
They're
Oh, we were
suggestions.
gonna, but if we never voted on it, it was never policy, it's,
It's just suggestions.
all right. Well, I think that needs to be in the minutes that it was not a policy, so it is therefore basically a ghost document, so to speak.
Suggestions, yes.
All right.
Then you're gonna.
So,
She basically did
Are
it.
you,
Had those same
where you at,
statements
Les?
before, and we just never came to a conclusion.
you still have majority policy, or you move forward to the?
you guys do something about that read through?
Yep, I wrote down all your
I'm gonna
needs,
ask
but I
them.
needed to. So that's the different written statements now. Each
I don't-
reflect the minutes, but that's not.
That's not official policy, so it really is not a. It's not a policy. It's just the minutes show that we looked at it and deemed it useless. Is there any updates that we need to take a turn at? I think we've covered pretty much everything. Anything else you want to talk about, Tim?
Just a brief up, I know it was a busy night, is my little thing about solar gonna come on an agenda?
Yes, and you
No
know,
problem.
I was wondering if you had given us a article to read.
Yeah, that's right here.
Yes.
Oh, you do have an article?
I
in there?
wanted to,
No, this
Get
is
it
not,
again.
this is not about
This
the solar,
was-
this was about farmland preservation.
and I wanted that because did not have a chance to look at it and I lost it. So,
Find out who's trying.
Can I have that back when we finish, Megan? Can I request that?
yeah,
That's
can I just
my
make a
only
copy?
Sure.
The only thing I wanted to ask is if there was a value to one of us, like me maybe, going to attending one of the agricultural preservation meetings of the county, because I know you've brought that up several times, and I couldn't really tell from their agenda and minutes what they actually discussed or what they're actually doing.
How many is there? I don't have them yet, is it?
They have them the first Wednesday every month.
Yeah,
at the county
so
office.
if it would be
Normally they're
valuable,
like 10 in the morning.
yeah,
They used to be the
Yeah.
first.
yeah, it was like
So you
8.
wanna go for education purposes? you
Yeah,
said?
not to present or talk or anything.
Yeah.
I just thought, and it doesn't have to be me, it could be you. You might have more insight into what they're saying.
No, you need
But
to learn about it, I think they better do it.
I just thought it would be helpful for us to have a better idea of what they're doing. Just in general, so if there's
problem.
opportunities for connection or whatever.
My farm's preserved through it, so I know exactly what they're doing. So, I mean, I got an idea.
I got one thing that I wanted to make it come back.
Figure that in a second.
I'm assuming well, we never really have to vote on the PA 116. You all looked at them.
I think we gotta vote to keep it for information.
That we approved them.
Approved it for information.
The PA
Thank you, Megan.
116s, we need to vote on them, Megan? Or that's just, we've looked at them and agreed to,
Accepted them.
Yeah.
We've reviewed
yeah,
them.
we reviewed and accepted them.
I have a question more about the solar. I put it on the agenda. What type of research or background, what is it that you want us to dig into? Can you give me a little bit more on what we're
Okay,
looking for?
I was confronted with it on our farm, and I know other neighbors have been confronted with it. They want to take agricultural farmland, convert it into solar generating plants, and it's large acreages. So my thought was to preserve farmland, we as a district should send some kind of an, what's the word I'm looking for, to our legislative, that they legislate that we can't use farmland for solar power, that we put it in wasteland or building roofs, alternative,
Gotcha.
that we don't take productive farmland out of production for solar.
Who is they?
There's a lot of solar companies out
So
there,
company, it's like.
Yeah. They
They
individual
say
companies.
northern Kent County is just getting
and they're just getting
bombarded.
bombarded with
I
it.
mean, thousands and thousands of acres, they say, is already
Because-
signed up.
Because
that
the
seems silly.
legislature has put in by year 2025, so much of our energy has to come from a green source, so it's provided an opportunity, and farmland is the quickest, cheapest, easiest thing to make happen, because it's cleared, it's flat. Yeah, thank you very much. That's my point.
Okay.
So
So, okay,
somehow we need
that's what
to
I,
draft something, approve it, and send it on, maybe get some other districts to sign
I'd
on
like to
with
get-
us.
I'd like
Do
to
you,
get some
could you
resources to go with it.
create a initial resolution?
I'm drawing a blank. I bet you Michigan Farm Bureau would have somebody to talk pros and
That's
cons
possible.
Yeah, because I
on.
would love to get some resources,
that.
some pieces that would give us some
There's a good link or source.
yeah, so that we could come with some tools.
Yeah.
And
Some main points.
I'll look into that this
Okay.
month. I'm sure they have somebody, I know they're, it's in their policy, so I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure they would have
So are
some,
they supporting or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of, they must be.
So if the
because
districts and Farm Bureau and we all come together in that's,
I'm not sure if Farm Bureau was for or against. I mean,
maybe they don't
that's one
have
of
a
those type of
policy drafted
resolutions
for
that
that.
could go
I
through.
would assume they would have
my
that by
MECD,
now.
yep,
It's-
100%.
It ain't nothing new. I mean, they're
Well,
out
it's,
there.
it's just the last,
One thing to add.
what,
What do you got, Doug?
Can you tell us about the book?
What?
The Farm Bureau deal where we're getting
Ooh, yeah, so so what are you talking about? Okay, so you guys are aware we have a pretty extensive historical collection.
it? Yes.
And in 2015, and prior to me, but since I've been here, one of the professors, his name is Matthew Daly, Dr. Daly, has at Grand Valley, has helped us preserve and catalog our whole collection. So we've got this whole collection that's beautifully cataloged. And he did that mostly just out of his own interest in the district and, just growing up here and wanted to be part of it. He also wrote 2 great papers on it. And so, had a
Teaches on
mutual-
it quite often in
Yes,
his
it had
classrooms
mutual
at Grand
benefit.
Valley.
Mhm. So when Farm Bureau was looking to do, is it the 100th anniversary, they wanted to use our collection because we have the most extensive in the county. And so they had come to me and asked if we could utilize this in this book they had put together. Most of the images in the book are district images. And so he had worked with us, he found some images that he wanted to put in, and Farm Bureau had offered to pay him. He said, instead of being paid, I'd like to make whatever that is a donation to the Conservation District, because he believes in us and what we do and how we work. And so they would like to present us with that donation at the annual meeting.
Didn't Stella
Awesome.
tell you, did she tell you how much?
No, no
Like,
idea,
yeah,
but we're gonna
they're-
get some sort of big check.
Oh, they got a big, like
We
big
should sell
size
the
wise.
book on her website.
So I was thrilled. Any way they can, any way they can get out.
Then we
these
can give other
cool
people a
pictures.
discount on.
He come
your-
out, he come out and interviewed me on the hog industry,
Mhm.
and I had my dad who's 80-something, and a buddy of his
Yeah.
that's 86.
He's very
Sit down and
knowledgeable.
talk about the
That's
hog
awesome.
industry through the 50s and 60s and 70s. So, and
Yeah.
he sat down with somebody from each commodity group, in the county and talked about the county's history and what the hog industry is, what each of their individual commodities have done over the years. So he's put quite, I sat 2 hours with him underneath the shade tree here, a month or 2
He
ago.
can talk.
So,
That's
very nice
awesome.
guy. Like I say, I was with
That's
him,
exciting. That's
we were
exciting.
with him, I was on the board when he did.
Yeah, because
this
he
thing
did it
for us here.
before, even before me. He's been
Sharp
doing
guy. I
that
mean,
since
he's,
maybe 2006.
yeah, he grew up on a farm. I
Mhm.
don't think it was in West Michigan. I think it was
It wasn't.
like.
Someone, it was
Indiana
in
or-
Michigan.
But I think, anyway, but yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a cousin or whatever who's still on the family farm or something, so.
Does that make sense, Lexi?
Yes.
What I did with that?
Mhm.
Motion to adjourn.
Yep.
So moved.
Things to do.
Thanks,
Tim made a
everybody.
motion to adjourn.